are you going to use the? Okay. So then let's move to the 7 first. Okay, group number 7 first. You don't have to be serious for the presentation today, okay? This is a demonstration. I'd like to see your implementation and what you did. So group number 7 is the React, the TS. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a time series data, right?
Good evening everyone. The database which we selected is React.js. So it's basically a time series based database and it's a key value database model. And it was developed by Bachelor Technologies. And the reason we took the time series database, like said in previous phases, was it has all the data types and annotations which we use for time series analysis. And speaking of the dataset, we have taken it from the Kaggle, and it's a dataset which gives information about the human activities on various smartphone devices like the TV, computer, and the laptop and stuff. So our dataset size is about 1 GB, and we have about 1 million records. And we are doing data pre-pruning and cleaning the data. And we have basically 2 reports, and 2 reports have the following columns, basically index, activity, duration, and commands on those activities. And the other one has all the smartphone details, saying the index, source, and the timestamp, like how the user is using this particular application from one time to one time. And based on all these values, we are using it to analyze how a user is spending time on video games or social networks, and how the battery with respect to the usage gets reduced from time to time. So it's the analysis we are doing based on the user's application usage. And the project was implemented directly via GCP, and we use the Debian operating system. And here we are just updating the various packages that is needed. And here we use the PAM library, which is the pluggable authentication module, which is one of the basic standard library to start the React TS. So this is one of the mandatory libraries which we need to install in order to work the React interface. Here we are getting the database directly into the...
Did you install using the apt-get software or download and compile by yourself?
No, we use the downloader.
Download the source code and
compile?
download.
Okay. And here we are installing all the Debian packages which are responsible for the packages using this operating system. And we are just checking whether React is successfully installed in the system using the grep React. And there is one more verification which can be done with the ping command, which successfully returns the PONG reply. And here to just start with, we used a sample data. We just manually created a data with the following details. And then here we are just inserting the values for the sample data just to test whether it's working in the interface.
Do they support the bulk, the import the data?
Then you cannot upload the data directly into the table. So I'm using Python language to process the data and upload.
So one by one.
Yeah.
So you need to program. So I think that there may be the tool to upload the bulk data at once. Okay, go ahead.
And further, we use some complex queries here in order to list down the data based on the ascending order. And here we have used primary key. And when using primary key in React, it's mandatory that it should contain a where clause, and only equal to operator is allowed. And then now the demo of the application.
Yeah. Here we are using Python for programming the application. Here we are using the Python programming. I created a sample table here. So since I cannot execute it again, I'm just showing it the process that I did. And if I want to code in Python, I need few packages to be installed. So that for that, I install the Python dev package and React. So if we install React, that we have to import and use it in the Python application. So these are the insert commands. I inserted the values using Python coding, and I can show that demo here. Since we used GCP, the VM, so these are the coding packages that I have. If I want to read the rows, I have the query code for that. It will read the rows. Suppose if I want to list the keys, it will list the keys. We can also manually create the table. To do that, we have to enter into the React shell. So if you give sudo React shell, you can enter into the shell. Here you can execute the queries, manually type the queries, and you can do it. Also, we have uploaded the data here. Show tables. Our data set is in report node. So
what kind of programming API does the React TS support? Python?
Java.
Python, Java,
Most of the-
yeah,
Most of
most of
Erlang.
them.
Actually, it mainly supports Erlang. Initially, it was Erlang was used for that. Later, all the programming languages are supported. So I have even written code for that.
Is there any time series specific option to query and do something?
Yeah, Professor. Timestamp is the data type.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
is there any specific predicate to search the time-based query or something other thing? Because it's called anyway the React TS time series. There might be something special function or the feature to handle such a
Yeah,
time series
Professor.
data.
Here, if this is the attribute that I have, you can directly use the greater than or equal to operator to compile the time. So if this is the time, there are different formats for the time. So here the time is in this format. So if I execute this, it will fetch the details.
Okay, so did you decide the specific data set or data model for
Yes,
your project?
Professor.
So what are they?
The human activities, like
Human activities?
on different smart devices, like they are tracking at particular time what a person is doing in the smart device, like what activities he is performing, and the battery usage also.
Are they available?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Professor,
as
yeah.
a instruction? Okay, so then what do you want to do using such a data set? So you want to retrieve something specific pattern of the user?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Professor. The pattern, if suppose the battery is getting reduced faster, what are the activities that has been undergone, or which cause the battery usage move like that? we
I
will
want
analyze.
to use the Python interface
Yeah.
for that. Okay, very nice.
Thank you, Professor.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? I think so using the number one, so right now it's available, so you can plug in your device. So you guys can share, okay?
Yeah.
No problem. So it's a good example of using the GCP. So you can use in case here the NoSQL database, like in this case, the React TS, if React TS support the scalable the feature, you guys can test by creating multiple, like 10 the virtual machine and run and see what's going on, the performance. You need to start quickly, but you can test such a thing. So for whether it's really scalable or not.
NoSQL database that we are using for the project is ArangoDB. Basically, it's a multi-model database. There are 3 types of data models. It can be key value, document, and graph. It's very flexible. It's a single core, single language database. Basically, what a single core is, the data set that you're uploading to the ArangoDB can be represented in the form of key value, document, and graph at the same time. So that is single core, and the single language that it uses is AQL language, which is similar to the SQL language. The data models that I was talking about is cluster, graph, and document. Cluster is nothing but the key value that is, you take the data and you separate it as key and value, and then you use it. Document base is somewhere similar to the key value pair. The document is acting as the key here, and the value is the value. And the graph database, you represent all your data in the form of nodes, vertices, and edges. The data set that we have used is related to Game of Thrones. We've used this data because we have to show relations, connectivity in the graph and the key value there. So we've used characters and character.json file. These are all the columns and the rows that we have. And the next one is the traits. So this is about the key. As you can see, that is the key, and these are the values. These are related in the document based. And the other one is the child of. This is more like a hierarchy that we use to show the nodes in.
What is the name of your data set?
Game of Thrones. It is related to the Game of Thrones.
I see. I do not know much about the game.
It's a series, Professor.
It's
A
more
series?
about.
A drama?
Yeah.
Then are there such a huge number of characters?
Yeah.
Yeah, there
Wow.
are. And this is how our ArangoDB looks when we install and when we start it. When it opens to this shell, this is what opens. Basically, when we initially start the process, we don't have a username and the password. So we log in as a root user without any password. And then, since no database is previously created in the ArangoDB, SystemDB is the initial database that is available. We log into that, and then we create our databases inside that.
So what we've actually done is, we have used all 3 types of possibilities where we can code. This is Eclipse, in which we have coded using Java. Here what we are presenting is especially the document based model, where the .get name that you can see there acts as the document, and .get message is the value of the document. This is just a sample database that we created so as to check whether our document based model is working.
So using ArangoDB, you can create a database using the
All 3 ways I mentioned,
API
yes.
or the Arango query language.
Yes.
So I see. Okay, go ahead.
This is the sample output that we have got using the document-based data set and a document-based data model.
Do you
And
need
the
to set
output-
up is it the Eclipse or the
This is
we just-
Eclipse.
Eclipse?
Yeah.
So from the Eclipse, do you need to set up something to connect to your Arango
Yes,
database?
we have done, there was a form Excel file where you have to put all the entries of the ArangoDB's UI that is required. And after we give all the credentials, so whatever I created the DB there, it appears here in the UI. This is this is the sample data that again we are where we are creating the tables. In ArangoDB, the tables are known as the collections. So we have just tried of creating tables using the same Eclipse, which again gets created here in the UI. These are all the tables that we have created.
So where did you create your database?
This
In your
week.
laptop?
Sorry?
Where did you create your database?
Yes,
ArangoDB?
in the laptop.
Your laptop,
Yes.
okay. Which means it's based on Windows.
Yeah. Actually, this was one of the problems that we are facing. And the main advantage of ArengoDB, we are not able to fulfill it yet, but we are planning to do it.
Why don't you use the GCP? For the program they provide the source or the package for the Linux. So
Actually, there were commands for Windows, so I thought it will be possible.
But
since
from your Windows, you are able to access.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
They provide such the client module or something, the web interface to connect to your database. So
This is what we'll do in the fourth phase. And
I
we'll
strongly
show-
suggest to
yes.
create a database for the reliable
Yeah.
system.
This is now Arengo shell, which ArengoDB provides. We have tried to use the graph database using Arengo shell. Again, here was a command where we could import the file, but we couldn't because it was not a Linux system. So we have again created a sample database and done the graph query. After we execute the queries in the graph shell, in the ArengoDB
What
shell,
types of query are possible for using the ArengoDB?
we are using AQL, which is there.
Yeah,
in
so
for-
for example, what kind of query? So find the character who has the relationship with this. So what kind of query? So just a high level. What kind of the query?
For GraphDB, we are planning to give the relation between the family members that are there in the data set,
Mhm.
which we are planning to do. These are the queries that we actually ran.
Is it possible to find there is a character named A? So can I find a similar character with the A? Like that?
Yeah, we have
That's
done
what
it. We have done this. This is the AQL that I was talking about, using these query, which is quite similar to SQL, as you can all see. We have tried and ran all this using key value and document based model. This is one of the examples that we have tried to merge two of the columns of different tables. The only thing is the main advantage of the ArengoDB that using one data set we want to create all the document based, key value based and graph based query that will be doing in the
I think you can stick on the focus on one data model like the graph, okay, which is actually the more attractive, okay, rather than a lot of the key value. Key value mostly focus on large amount of data. So instead
because
you
it
can
was a
focus on the graph.
multi-model, we thought
But
maybe.
you don't have to consider the regard all of different models. So like the focus on the graph, the DB, okay, then think about the graph specific the query, like the similar character who has the similar relationship with the other. Then that is not easy with the other the key value database and so on. Then another suggestion, excuse me, so you can use the reliable server like the virtual machine on the GCP and then connect from your the laptop or client for the remotely. So that also you can still do your Java programming from the current client the system by connecting to the remote server. Okay, and okay, I think that's my suggestion. Any questions? Okay, thank you. Good. The next team is group number 5, Foundation DB. And also, all the team think about your application front end part. Okay, it's not the first urgent thing, but eventually I'd like to see your front end the application. So you can create, if you have ability to create the app, it's totally fine. Web-based is also fine. The standalone is fine. But do not use the default interface provided by the database. Okay. Sometimes the database, certain database provide the interface to query to get the data. So which means you can just quickly type the several command, then that is not your application. Okay, so. it's Ubuntu, right? So sometimes Ubuntu cannot recognize that. Do you have VGA over here? No? Yes. Yeah, sometimes. Because it doesn't support the resolution of the projector. So we will see. So my suggestion is, do you have the Chrome? Then later we will use the Google Hangout by connecting my server, my computer. Then using the Google Hangout that you can do. But meanwhile we will do another thing first. Okay, so if you are using the Ubuntu sometimes cannot connect to the projector. Yeah.
Okay, my database is NOSDB, and it's a document key value based database. So it doesn't have anything specific, so I just picked something in random and implemented it. The architecture for the database is expecting, or the framework expecting, is basically you have shards, and a shard can have one or multiple nodes in it, and the nodes, one of them will be a primary, and the others will be replicas or image of other nodes. So it could be image of the, let's say this one is the primary, this one is the primary, they are connected, and those are connected also, but this primary has this as a replica, and this one has a replica. So it could be in different shards. The application that I implemented, actually, this is a user interface of the application of NOSDB itself, so I didn't have to do anything in Unix or shell-based, so it was pretty easy for me.
So where do you create the NoSDB? On your laptop?
Yes.
Okay.
It usually requires a server, but I was able to put everything on my laptop.
Okay.
So basically I have 4 tables, or they call them collections: an employee info table, a picture table, and those 2 parameters and map reduce is basically I'm using for input and output into the system, because the framework doesn't provide any way to input and output to the system. Like, there's no communication. I could implement the communication myself, but that was easy to do. And so basically right now I have 4 employees. You can see them. This is the JSON format, or you can also see them using regular format. And this is the picture.
What is the name of this application?
This is NOSDB Management Studio. That's what the company provides.
When you insert the NoSDB, they provide.
They provide this, yes.
Mm-hmm.
This is the picture table. Basically what I'm saving here is information, is the picture of each employee. And each employee will have 5 pictures in this database. So now is a demonstration of the database, of the program that I implemented.
.NET?
Pardon me?
How do you implement this one?
I use Microsoft Visual Studio.
Visual Studio
C#.
C#. Okay.
.NET, yeah. The company also supports Java, because the API supports Java.
Do you need to set up to connect the NoSDB from your Visual Studio, or how do you?
You have to do it programmatically. So all the connections are implemented inside the program itself.
So what about the remote NoSDB? So I have the NoSDB on the remote side. How do you connect from the application?
Here's an example. This is a connection string because I'm using my local computer, so
Okay.
the IP address is a local port. I mean, it's a local IP address. This is the port, and this is the user and provide password also. I mean, all this is in the connection string.
Okay.
So all those buttons are implemented: addition, update, delete, and so on. If you press these, you're basically browsing through all the employees. The first one didn't have any image, so those are all the employees that I have. And each employee, as I said, has 5 pictures into the system. And the reason why I put you have to put 5 pictures because it's an employee security system. So basically, to train a system, you need more than 1 picture because if somebody take a picture, it could be further away or different posture. So you need more than 1 picture to train the system so that it can be able to recognize the user.
So in your NoSDB database, you can store the image as an attribute column.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. It's a binary format.
Bytes,
Right.
arrays, yes. But it's actually saved as a 64-base system, but NoSDB does that automatically for me when I'm using it. If I'm certain way that you're providing the data, it does it for you. But within MapReduce, it doesn't make any assumption of what the data is. It gives you the data as it is in the table. So when I'm using MapReduce, I have to convert it back myself.
Okay,
so you can search, if you're in browse mode, you can search.
search based on what? The metadata or images?
Okay, images.
Okay.
For example, if let's say that I want to search one of the employees, you can go to the training. Let's say that I want to search this guy. Just provide his picture. And I'll get his picture. Or I can search using his ID. Well, let's see. If I'm in browse mode, I will just populate it and then just pick on ID, for example. And that's the guy. And I can add. And I can enter pictures. I can have more than one, but and I just enter this employee. And now if I go through, he will show up as one of the employees. And so that's, and you can delete. I can just delete him. Let's see, it should be. I have it.
So what types of programming interface does the NoSDB provide? Is it API?
It's API.
So you are using the C#. You said the C++, C#?
C#.
C#.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it.
Okay. So very nice. My suggestion is one of the issue in the big data is that even though there are some references, it's not actually the fully implemented the MapReduce program for images. Okay.
Well, I did it myself.
Yeah. So then I think the NoSDB, if NoSDB supports something the scalable, the database. So then if you can implement such an image database that is scalable, I think that definitely
it is scalable because each image is pretty big.
Yeah.
And you can spread them among many servers. So when you send a request, you only have to send the picture or one picture to the shot. If they parallel can do the.
If you can show such evidence, it's really the research work because still many of the database use the image database only metadata. They store the image as a file system and just give the link, not store the image as the attribute.
Well, as you can see, This is the actual data.
Okay.
And if I save it, you will see that.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, so because we have the another teams to
Okay.
the good. Why don't you think about the such a scalable image database for your the exam? That will be the good for the something the research topic. Okay, next the group 5. At the end, okay. The next the group number 3. The similar database.
So ours is Scylla. So we are working on Scylla now. So in this case, as of now, I don't have PPT. I didn't prepare PPT. So I'm just giving a demo. So whatever we did. So I'm just using my local host here. So so we deployed the Scylla in the Docker container. So we're using Docker here. So these are Docker toolbox here. So the first thing is, let me show how to connect to. Yeah, it connected to CQLSH, which is the bash for Scylla. So basically, Scylla and Cassandra is the same. There is no difference when it comes to the UI. So before that, the UI part. So I'm more of thinking about the BI solution, the business intelligence solution. So I'm thinking of doing.
So you are thinking about the BI solution.
Yeah,
application.
Yeah, Cassandra.
What is the benefit of using Scylla for the BI application?
So yeah, Scylla, the benefit is that if you use a traditional relational database, so as you were discussing earlier, if you're working on any social networking website, they might be having billions of records. So if you want to generate reports, regarding the user statistics, so the relational databases they're gonna fail. They're gonna take a lot of time. So if you're querying only for one column, so in that case, either you should go for a NoSQL. So as we're using Scylla, so I'm going for this application. So before that, so I'll quickly show you how what are the installation that we did. So Tableau, it's free for students. This is Enterprise Edition. It's not even trial version. It's free for students. You have to register using your college ID. So you get 1 year license. So when it comes to reporting, Tableau is at 1. It's the first position. Probably 70% of the Fortune 500 companies are using Tableau for the BI solution. So since it's free for the students, so I want to get my hands on that. So before this, let's go quickly see how to do the data source thing. So I'm just closing the data source. So before that, so my tables are as we were discussing in Cassandra earlier, so there are no database concept in Scylla, which is the same as in Cassandra. So we have key spaces. So in order to create a key space, this is our code. Replication strategy is simple strategy, like the ring structure that professor was talking about earlier. So what's the replication factor? Here I have given 3, even though I had only one node in cluster. And the strategy is simple strategy. Probably it's going to take the alternate nodes. before that, and this is my table here. So orders table, and before that my data is, so I have so I got this file from one of the source, so where it has the e-commerce data, around 50,000 records. So across different countries and states, everything. So that's my data here, and this is table structure. So the row ID is the primary key here. So I'm partitioning the data based on the row ID. And as of now, I didn't concentrate on the clustering thing. Probably I'll do that later, I didn't have the time for that. And there's another table called people, so it has one more primary key. And so, as you can see, I deployed the Scylla in Docker, but in order to connect, so the problem is that Tableau doesn't have a Cassandra or you can see here, Tableau doesn't have a Cassandra or Scylla driver. So we have to do that manually to connect to Scylla from Tableau. So for this, we have to go for other databases and we need to connect. So before doing this, we need to download the DataStax Cassandra connector, which is this one here, the SQL connector. Just download the 64-bit, and if you run that, so you got to open your data sources manager here, data source administrator. And if you see here, this is a Cassandra ODBC driver here, and if you see in the Docker, so this is my address of the virtual machine which is there in the Docker. So before that, if you want to connect from Docker to the external host, you always used to, you should expose the ports. Otherwise, from the Windows, you won't be able to talk to Docker. So in order to expose the ports, so when you run the when you run the Scylla, you can notice here it's -p 501 5801. So that's how I'm exposing. I mean, like in the virtual machine, the Scylla is running on 5081, and I want to connect and I want to listen on the external host on the same port. So I'm just giving that. So with the help of this, it's going to expose the application to the local host. So after that, just I'm inserting data as a comma separated value. So I converted this data into Excel data into CSV file. So this is all the data that I got, around 50,000 odd records. So I'm copying, if you see, this is the copy command. Toolbox, Docker toolbox, it's located in my localhost program files. So I'm copying that CSV file to the container, and afterwards, and in the container, yeah. So if you see here, I'm just copying. No, there is no manual copying. So you just have to copy from the CSV file here with header equal to true, because I have header in the CSV file. So it's gonna let me show you how it's gonna do that. I'm gonna delete the entire data. Sorry. I need to connect to this key space first. So it just deleted all the data, and now if I so it's doing the copying thing. So in the meanwhile, in the Tableau.
So basically, Tableau does not support the Scylla yet.
No, it doesn't. They don't know that it supports
ODBC,
everything.
So it's okay as long as you connect. But
Manually, yeah.
if you decide to use the Tableau for the front end part, I think you can utilize the full benefit of the Tableau.
Yeah, so it will be useful.
Visualization or data analytics, and show the And one more thing, it will be better if you set up the clustering for the USLR.
That's what, yeah.
Yeah, so then otherwise, if you just use the single the data source, it doesn't make
Yeah,
a difference
so-
between the Excel file or the USLR, right?
I'll show you once. So what's the issue if I use a single node in the Tableau? I'll show you that. Yeah, so it's completed, the 51,000 rows. So now let's go for the UI part. Before that, you just copy the host here for the ODBC driver. Just click it test, you'll see once it's okay, it's connecting to the container there. And if I connect here, if I sign in there, so connected to that. So my database is Cassandra. I gave the name as Cassandra, but it's still actually. And schema is project here. And in Tableau, we have two kinds of connections. One is live and the other one is extract. So live connection is like as soon as you update something in the ScyllaDB, so it's going to fetch the data. But when it comes to extract, it's more like, if you are in an area where there is no internet connection and if you want to work on the data, want to generate some report there, so go for the extract. What it does, it's going to take a snapshot of the existing data in the DB. So if I update now, so it fetched all this data from the ScyllaDB there. So let's go for the presentation now.
Let me start. I'm going to start here because we have the 6 more teams for a minute. So it's okay to use the tabular, but keep in mind that if we are in the business group, why don't you set up the group number 4? So I do group number 4. Therefore, so you got the next one. Why don't you set up? So
this is the issue, Professor.
Okay.
As you can see, it's taking more time to
Yeah, sure.
get the reports generated from that. So
Sure,
the
okay,
reason
so-
for that
yeah.
is because of single node cluster.
Okay.
So what I'm thinking, like when I figured it out, setting up multiple node cluster is not that hard, but understanding what Cassandra and Scylla does, like how to create the schemas and based on my queries, rather than the following traditional way. Yeah.
Thanks so much. So if you are using such a tabular side software for the data analytics and so on, it's okay that this class, but if we are in the business school, it's definitely you guys need to use such a tool for data analytics. But as a computer science, which one? So which connector do you need? Yes, continue. Yes. So, but we are in computer science, so which means if you know how to use the tablet, it's okay. But the more the theoretical part you need to understand. But if you keep on the tablet for the front end implementation, please fully utilize the data analytics part. With the benefit of the Scylla, like as you said, the clustering part and so on. Okay, then that will be really nice, the BI, the project. So right now, still a lot of the demand on such a BI, the system. They try to include the data analytics part. Before that, it's not the data analytics, it's a BI, it's just the search the data.
So I'm adding Spark into this. Instead of using the Excel data, I'll do the streaming, data streaming there. So
Okay. Thank you. And the next, the name project by group number 4.
So ours is a graph-based NoSQL database. So here,
Please be quiet. Okay.
so what we've planned to do is a movie database.
As far as I know, the movie database is a default database for Neo4j.
Yes, but the reason why we've done this is because we couldn't find any community edition for Neo4j.
That's your job to.
Yeah,
We got
but
the enterprise edition from them.
So my suggestion, please, if possible, find
no, we
another.
will. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to implement a front end for this one and try to change the implementation, what they've done, not copying entirely from them, but adding more features into ours. So this is how we start the DB. We have our password and username as Neo4j,
And if we need to import the data set, we can actually use the APOC one or the Neo4j drivers or the Neo4j import tool. So if we have the data set in form of a CSV file, we can use this line, load CSV, from the file URL as line. We can use that in our Cypher query command line tool. And like in case if you have a JSON file, you can use in a plugin, APOC. And then, so this is what I've created, a data set. Here, what I've seen is, people have used arrow tool to create a data set, and there is an option called export cipher. So this entire data set can be exported to Neo4j as it is. And this is the query we've done for creating the movie database. And we've given a match for Tom Hanks. So this is how, when it equals to Tom Hanks, gives us, the result will be this. So we had a sample file, a JSON file, but unfortunately it was showing as error. So for time being, we're showing the movie database. So you can see there are 18 nodes created here with 19 relationships. So the problem we're facing right now is we don't have a community edition, instead we have the enterprise edition. So there is no way we can import the dataset as it is, like CSV file, but we're trying our level best to do that.
First thing is if you contact their customer service or the
That is
sales,
already done,
they
yeah.
definitely the provide.
Yeah, actually we contacted them, but all we got is enterprise edition, that too for 1 month. Like that's free for
Yes,
a month.
so for 1 month it may be okay for your the evaluation. So, or if you need more the CC to me, then they are generous to provide the additional the such a license for the education. Definitely. So why don't you CC to me or then ask again? So this is a classroom project, so definitely because they need to sell the more product after you guys graduate. So even they provide a free edition. So really, believe me, please contact. Then they will response. Okay. Then biggest concern is please to think about the other data set, the graph data set. It's painful. Definitely, it doesn't exactly fit to this one. This one is like the hello world style example database. Okay, so at least two of my previous teams people used the exactly same thing. Okay, so from now on it's not acceptable definitely. So you guys need to show how to use Neo4j for if you search the Google, there are a lot of the sample graph-based data set. Okay, mostly it's in the network and also the social media, but that doesn't fit directly to your Neo4j. You need to pre-processing.
You need to import using
yes,
Java.
not directly import. Even you need to, as one of the team did by themselves. So you need to code
Exactly,
the
using
Python.
Java.
Yes, it's not like the CSV style then comma separate and import. No, you need to manipulate. Change pre-process. Then you can state such a step. That is your contribution. Okay. So please think about nothing. Please you need to do. to be successful in the last presentation. So after you guys, you need to first contact whether get the license or then try that one. Okay?
Thank you.
The next thing is the Oracle NoSQL database, rule number 6. In case you need a license, as soon as possible, why don't you contact the sales or customer? They definitely provide the license or the free trial for educational purpose. Even they encourage it. That's their job. Okay? So do not hesitate. You can email at the time if you need. If they ask the permission from the professor, the CC to me or give the contact email or the phone number. Actually, the VJ, that's software. So you know, one of the option is instead of using this, looks like this system is freezing. But it doesn't show a nice view. Anyway, go for this one. Okay, so next thing is Oracle NoSQL database.
Hi, our database would be Oracle NoSQL database. The Oracle NoSQL database is basically key value pair database which will be written on Java, and it is basically accessible by the Java APIs just like KVLite or KVLite. It's built on Oracle Berkeley Database Java Edition, and the supported data types are text, numeric, video, images, XML document, and the usage of this database basically is in data capture and data services, just like whatever the applications which are having live data, which is web applications, online retail applications, scalable authentication or social networking sites. And for the installation,
actually Oracle NoSQL DB can be installed in two ways. One is by using Linux, and one is used by Solaris. Actually they are only compatible with both of them. But what we have done is we have downloaded Ubuntu in our Windows, since Windows supports Ubuntu, which uses Linux.
only Windows.
Yeah, only Windows 10. And currently we are working using Ubuntu. So we have downloaded application on Linux platform, and so we have downloaded an application, and we have installed it, and then we are still working on the Ubuntu command prompt only. It can be done along with Java edition also. We have a Java code as well, but we didn't connect the Java API to the code yet. We are still working on the command prompt only.
So You are
So-
using the Ubuntu virtual machine?
Yeah,
On the
virtual
Windows?
machine, yeah.
Okay, so you have the Ubuntu, then
Yeah.
inside the Ubuntu, so you install the Oracle
Oracle NoSQL database.
Then
So,
you try
by-
to use the Java API to connect the database and create the database and so on.
Yes. But now we are showing that we can, we are inserting, we are able to,
Please be quiet.
we are able to perform the DDL statements with command prompt. So we have installed it using Ubuntu, and after that, we have a KB Lite database, and it has two directories, KB root and KB home. So in KB Lite we have a sample data, we have sample information such as hello world and other set of information. So it contains around 10 to 15 lines of inserted data in it. So by using by using Ubuntu, we can be able to insert data, and we can be able to delete the data, update the data directly. But after this is already done. Now we are concentrating on how to do along with the Java API.
So what kind of database are you going to create? Using NoSQL database.
Our data supports key value database and documented as
So
JSON
what is the
data.
name of the data set?
Aeroplane system.
Airplane
Yeah.
system? How many rows record it has?
As of now, we have done with 15 records.
But we'll be increasing the data set once we are able to do it with the Java.
Yeah, so for example, if you are selecting the key value database, so the reason why we are using key value is really big, the data, okay? So you need to show such a characteristic in your application, okay? And also my suggestion is instead of using the virtual machine, why not trying the virtual machine on the GCP? Then you can use also set up the multiple virtual machine. They have the variety of Ubuntu, the images, so Linux, so you guys can test the cluster system. Definitely Oracle NoSQL database support such as the scalability, multiple node, right?
Yeah, it supports multiple.
Yes. So why don't you try and show such a, because you are selecting key value data set, that means you need to show such a characteristic of the system. Then connect your database from one of the nodes, then you can implement such a Java API to select something, the airplane, the arrival time, whatever, things like that. Okay. Okay, so thank you. And the next, the group number 8, the OrientDB.
Yes.
You have HDMI?
Yeah.
Okay, just plug it. Then wait. Just wait.
Okay, so our database is OrientDB database, and it is a multi-model database, and we have chosen graph data model, and we have selected a data set called OpenViewer. This consists of 4 tables: category, styles, viewer, and breweries. As of now, we have the installation for OrientDB is we have to go to the OrientDB site and download the community edition. And
So what kind of model did you select
Graph.
from the OrientDB?
graph.
A graph model,
Yes.
okay. And you installed the OrientDB on Linux or the Windows?
Windows.
Linux. So
Windows.
do you have the virtual machine
No.
for Linux?
Installed in Windows.
Windows, okay.
So the installation is OrientDB, and for the server to become active, we have to run server.bat. And now the OrientDB server will be active. done, so I will show it. Now the server is active. So we have to go to our web browser and then connect to the local host studio, ONDB studio. So DemoDB is the default database that already exists. So for creation of a database, create new database, and we can create a database, and in the advanced options we can choose what type of data base we want, that is graph or document, and I've chosen graph. So I've chosen so this is my ONDB studio, and I have already imported the categories data into it. Now she'll show you how to import the another table.
So as you see, the category is already imported into it. Now I'm trying to import the styles, and I'm trying to establish the connection between the categories and styles with the relationship called has a category. And I've written the JSON file for it. This is the JSON file where you can clearly see I've set the path for the CSV file for the styles.json. We have basically used ETL process for loading the information, loading the CSV file into the database. And as you can see, I've set the class name as style, and then I've established a relationship between the style and category using has category. This is the name of the relationship. Now let me import the data, CSV file into the database. So this is a command for importing the JSON file. So as we can see, the CSV files are getting loaded into it.
And all the 141 rows are being inserted.
Yeah, and are being inserted into it. Now let me connect to the server once again. So as we can see that the style class has been imported into the database. Now let me show the relationship clearly with the graph interface. Let me run the command.
And it supports SQL query language.
So as we can see, it is showing all the records that is present in the category. Now if I want to see the relationship for this, we can see that the has category relationship has been implemented. Now
This is based on the ONDB dashboard, so provided by the ONDB. Okay, it's to manage your data. So what will be your application to use your graph database? So you need to implement something your own application. Okay, this is the given interface. Okay, so you don't have to explain too much details of this one. Instead, you need to show what you guys implemented in the page 3. So do you have such a thing?
We're still working on it.
Yes.
We have imported 3-4 files. We have to still
So same suggestion for the graph database. So please think about the existing where the graph database. It's not that simple, just like the other team, the Neo4j. So you need to the pre-process something data that can be CSV file format, and each time will be node, what will be the such a relationship edges, then you need to model, design your own database. Okay? Then implement how to upload the ONDB, the graph database. Then next thing is you need to think about what kind of application you guys implement. using your ONT. Okay, that's what you guys need to do. Okay. Okay, next, the group number 9, mem cache. Okay. Do you have HDMI?
Yes.
I don't think that's the HDMI. Which one? I say HDMI? That's not that. I am trying. Yeah, because it's too high resolution. Why don't you reduce the resolution? It's not detected yet, so reduce the resolution to 1600. Keep changes, and why don't you try to detect? Yeah, I guess this one has the problem. At this time, yes. Why don't you agree? Okay, so next is the memcache NoSQL database.
We are using like memcache database for analysis. So we are using the main data set is the movie data set. So as I have like already mentioned that the memcache database is generally related to the high data, or it is basically related with the high performance system it is used. This is the basic architecture of the memcache, where it is there is a main database is been present, and all data whatever is required by the high system, like, or the high websites or applications. So it is basically uses the memcache if the data is already present. If data is not present, then it is accessing the main database system. So we are using our main database system as a MongoDB database, and we have.
So basically, the memcache is not the standalone the database. It uses another data set.
We can use with the different servers, and we can mention like how much memcache We
It's
can use
So
basically-
in your case, you select the MongoDB database.
MongoDB as the main database system where we are going to store the data. So we are using the movie data set as a sample database system.
So among the different the model, you select the graph database model.
No, it's a key value pair.
It's a
Key value?
key
Okay.
value and document. Basically, it is used for the document processing, but we are using the combination of document as well as key value for the
Okay.
Mongo database system for the storage. So we are using the movie data set where the first two screenshot is taken for the movie metadata. So this is not a straightforward CSV file. It is the combination of a CSV as well as the JSON file. So we need to like it includes the different data set which is gives the detailed information about the movies. So we can see that belongs to collection. It holds the CSV file format. Inside that there is a few of the file which includes like key value pair dictionary kind of a data. Apart from that, there is another file called credits.csv. This is also the combination of CSV plus some JSON file. It holds the information about the cast and crew of the movie. So it holds like ID, crew information and the cast information. Then we have like other files like keywords, ratings and links. So keyword gives the information whether if any of the movie is there. So it is related to like fun, comedy, romantic or like kids movie. So this kind of all information is stored in the keywords file. Rating file include all the information about the user ratings and links include the information about the other databases from where this movie has been fetched. So there are the two different data sets called internet metadata set, movie data set and normal movie data set. So these basically hold the reference from the other database systems. Then so we are using, I have already mentioned that we are using the MongoDB. So we have to load all these CSV files into the Mongo database. So these are the commands which we are used for the importing data into the Mongo data sets. For that, as I have already mentioned that Mongo database using like document kind of a processing. So for that we need to create collections. We have created the collections like credit keywords for all these data sets. Then for that we need like Memcache to be installed on GCP server as well as Mongo DB needs to be connected. Along that we use the Python application program to run to create some of the applications. So we need to there are the certain steps has been mentioned to install the Memcache, which I have already illustrated here. We successfully able to implement the Memcache DB. Apart from that,
My suggestion is because the Memcache is not the standalone database system, is that it supports better the performance for the
Yes.
other. So I think that you guys can focus on to demonstrate the difference between using the Memcache database without using the Memcache
yes,
database.
that's what we are
That is what our
covering
target is.
later on
Yeah.
this.
So go ahead.
So these are like Python we are using. Right? Yeah, so here are like we try to implement different problem statements for it. So here is one of the problem statement. So in our huge movie metadata site, we just wanted to search the keywords. So these keywords, suppose if user want to search the data on the basis of the comedy. So for the first time, data is not available in the Memcache. So it will directly look into the MongoDB data set, and we can say, see that the MongoDB time is 0.488 seconds it's currently providing. Once the data has been fetched and we again try, it is directly hitting to the Memcache server. So Memcache is providing 0.064 so this is really a very considerable amount of time or like achievable results we are able to get with the Memcache. I'll hand over to
Okay, we have not only taken one problem statement, there are, as you can see, there is keyword search. We are searching the database based on the keyword, and then we are searching based on the cast. That is, if any movie actor is present, you can search the database for the movies related to the actor and recommendation. So if there is a movie, if you like it, you can just use the movie and you can find the similar patterns of that movie and recommend.
Okay, so actually the IMDb uses a lot of such a recommendation system. So if you implement that as an application, it's totally fine and even better. So why don't you focus on about the comparison between the read without using your main cache
Yes.
database?
So for the last recommendation system, we just try to implement the Python applications, which will basically hit first for the MongoDB. It will try to search the pattern.
Okay.
We are just grabbing the pattern of that particular movie sets, maybe 10 or 20. We can add depending on the user,
Okay.
and send for the main cache.
Okay, so let me start your presentation because we have two more. So the next, the group number 10, the Azure, the NoSQL database. By the way, where did you implement your MongoDB and
It is on GCP.
GCP? Okay. In case there is multiple cluster, so why don't you set up the next thing? Do you need to install the Memcache database for each node?
Yes, there is a
Okay.
sharing, distributed network.
And are there any communication between among
Yes.
the Memcache sources?
That's why we have used that Memcache Python. Sorry, there is one package called Memcache. So through that we can achieve that
But it has to be handled automatically, not
automatically.
Okay, thank you. The next group number 10, the Azure the NoSQL database.
Yeah, our database is Azure Cosmos database. We support several different APIs and then different model types. In our project, we are using SQL API, which is document data model. Let me show you the website. Actually, it can be run on the website itself. This is the screen after we create the database. There are several setting options. In the key option, we can use a URL and then primary key in our application.
Please be quiet.
So after we create the database, we can put up the document here. Document is a JSON format here. This is the sample data set.
What kind of sample are you using?
We are using crime data set.
Crime.
Crime data,
Okay.
yeah, 2010 to the present. So it has around 1 million row, and we got this data set from the government sites, and it includes event number and data of occurrences and reported locations and location informations and event-specific classification and descriptions. And the JSON file load into Azure Cosmos database of 2 megabytes is maximum, but you can upload it like multiple files on it.
We could do query here. This time we didn't focus on making query, but as you can see, we could find any any specific information for our data set. Then next we are going to show our implementation for the application. Yeah, this is connected to our database on the internet, and then we extracted 4 properties like a month, type, and then code, location. We thought about these properties are important for our data set. And then there's a function to create and then edit. Then if we click create, we could put the data to our database on the internet. Actually, it's gonna be downloaded our database. So as you can see, it's gonna be downloaded at the bottom, so it takes some time. So let me skip the function.
Okay, so my suggestion is why don't you So if you are using the prime data set, so why don't you focus on more the details, the application that, or function that you are going to use for the created prime data set on the Azure. Okay, so you can focus on from that part. So like the analysis of that the prime data set based on the your created database. So next, the last one, the bloom number 5. Thank you. Are you happy? Not come. So you have, but it didn't work, right? But I don't think is there any to change the display, the event? No. So first, you need to recognize the HMI from the event.
It's working.
Yeah, it's working, but it should be the something the duplicate. So, but I do not know what is the option to show your display option.
We just saw it.
Yes, but that means that is not recognized display. This is the app. Any configuration? 7. Right, recognized, but should be duplicate. Yeah, it's on, but because it's a high resolution, so it cannot keep sending the video. Yeah, Ubuntu array is not very reliable for the projector. Okay, you can just present. Just a present. Yeah, so without the presentation part. Just present because we run out of time. Just the present without presentation part.
So it.
Just say what you have to say.
Okay, something like okay. We have a vendor.
But this is let's do this way. You are going to present the next class because it's over 8:30. The students should leave. Okay. Yeah, so your team. They will present the next, but until that time, why don't you figure it out to connect the projector? Okay? Okay, so let me start here. So, so for all the teams, so please use your NoSQL database. You'd like to find the specific kind of objective of your project. So that highlight the characteristic of your NoSQL database in case of man cache. So not just create a couple of table and access the data. Instead, you'd like to show the characteristic of your NoSQL database from your implementation and the other presentation. So if we are using the graph-based model, the database, so how to use such a graph database and whether you guys can query the graph-specific data. Or if you are using KB, the key value, probably it's really the handling big data. Then how to show the scalability. So using the GCP and so on. So why don't you try to find the objective of your NoSQL database for the pace while you are presenting your work. Okay. So next class you guys will present probably after the talk. Then as I announced, next week we will invite one of our graduate students regarding to the blockchain. Then followed by the MongoDB and the Cassandra, the exercise lab that we will have. Then I will give the more information about the page 4 again. Then also the exam information also. Okay, any other questions? Thanks so much. Today we will see the next class.